Hello, I'm Rawley Addington, Director of Chartwell, and welcome to another edition of Conversations with Chartwell. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by none other than world-famous filmmaker, environmentalist, and international speaker, Ali Tabrizi. Ali is the director and presenter of Netflix's groundbreaking documentary, Seaspiracy, a documentary that shook the world about the monumental harm of the fishing industry. With his unquestionable passion for conservation, Ali seeks to unveil the devastating human impact of fish consumption and the corruption alongside it. Following Seaspiracy, Ali and his wife have gone on to found Disrupt Studios, where they continue to create and share documentaries on the environment. Since the release of the documentary in 2021, Ali has spoken all over the world about his life, his work, and today we're very fortunate that he has come in to speak to us at Chartwell. Ali, it's really great to have you here.
Thank you.
Where did you get this unique passion and determination to bring light on sustainability issues?
I think it started really young for me. I was always someone that was fascinated by David Attenborough documentaries and other sort of nature-focused films, like I think a lot of us grew up with. But for me, somehow, it became a bit of an obsession, and I always wanted to be able to see this abundance of wildlife in the oceans as well as in the jungles, and one day see it for myself. But of course, as I grew up and many years had gone by, I realized actually the oceans weren't as abundant as they once were, and the forests weren't abundant as they once were, and actually a lot had changed. And now we're in a state of crisis, we're in a state of extinction, we're in a state of rapid loss of these incredible biodiversity that's just vanishing before our eyes. And I wanted to do something about it, and so that's what led me down that path to one day make a film like Seaspiracy.
Very few people manage to make a career out of their passion. What advice would you give people looking to do that?
For sure. I mean, it seems like everyone is going to be facing some level of criticism when they start to take the leap and do something that actually takes a lot of courage a lot of the time, and it's not necessarily the safe route. But my advice is that if you can figure out something that you're passionate about, and that might take you a long time to figure out, you're going to love what you do regardless of how much you get paid or how much recognition it gets or how long it takes you to achieve something. And I think that ultimately is the zoomed out perspective of what it is that we'd like to do with our lives that's going to bring us the most satisfaction and potentially, make a positive difference. And so my advice is to, figure out what it is that brings you a lot of joy, that you enjoy doing day to day, and go for it. It might not be something that you can jump into right away. Maybe you're in a career that you can't just jump right out of, but as long as you can make some time for it, you can start slowly transitioning into what you actually are passionate about, and that's what I did, and I don't regret it a single day.
A running theme throughout your documentaries is your utter determination to unveil the truth. Where would you say that comes from?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think it might have something to do with growing up in the Middle East as a very young kid. I think my first day of school, growing up in Tehran in Iran, I remember being very, very small, one of my earliest memories, and having the headmaster make me chant "Death to America" and "Death to England" in front of a picture of the Ayatollah. And living in that kind of environment that was very repressed, and there was not freedom of speech, and there was a lot of information that wasn't freely available in the press. The press was state-run. I could feel it even at a young age, even on some level. And so moving out from that country and developing my passion for filmmaking and visuals and the media, I started to realize that actually it's really important to have freedom of information and to be able to have access to the truth, and that the truth can actually bring about a lot of change. It can be very healing. People say the truth hurts. I disagree. I think it's the error that hurts, and then being confronted with the truth makes you realize how much that hurt. And so that's where my passion kind of came from for that, to try and reveal the truth, because I believe that it sets the foundation for morality, ethics, love in our society, because without truth, you can't really build that on that foundation of deceit. So that's where truth became quite an important thing in my life.
And then Seaspiracy became one of the most viewed, impactful documentaries of all time. What was it like being at the centre of that?
It was incredible. We never in our wildest dreams would have imagined the film would have had such a massive success. Within days we had Sir Paul McCartney from the Beatles sharing it. We had the Kardashians sharing. We had not every, but pretty much it felt like every celebrity in Hollywood sharing it. We're getting voice notes from celebrities who'd watched the movie. We'd had One Direction sharing it, and it was just incredible. And we had the movie was top 10 movies around the world on Netflix. It was like number one in the UK, I believe, for a period of time, and it was just massive, and there was no way that we could have predicted that. Especially for myself, I think there was a little bit of doubt whether people would watch a movie about the oceans. It's about fish. It's about whales being killed. It's about corruption. It's not one of those escapism movies. It's a very confrontational kind of movie. I was amazed, and it gave me a lot of faith that actually there is a demand to know some of this information. And it was from people of all age groups. It wasn't just the environmentalists and the greenies watching it. It was also people who were on the left, on the right. It was old, young, and I think that it just blew me away. And I just loved that aspect of that aspect of the release of the film really was really heartwarming for me. That this is something that actually quite a lot of people could unite behind, and so that was, I think, one of the highlights for me.
And then inevitably, with such success, there was a backlash of criticism and groups coming out against some of what you said. How did you deal with that, both personally and professionally within the Seaspiracy Foundation?
Definitely. Well, within a matter of days, I think the Independent had done like 12 articles on us, and like 6 of them were positive, like 3 were negative, and like the rest were kind of neutral. And it was, for me, I was actually loving the process of having the discussion play out in front of me. So I was being interviewed by news journalists and TV journalists from around the world. It was in the UK breakfast shows, and we were being called up from Argentina, and we were just speaking to everyone. And I loved the discussion. I loved the debate. It's not something that I shy away from. I think that people recognize that in the Q&As after my talks, that I welcome all questions, because ultimately, as a documentary filmmaker, I'm interested in getting the truth out. And so if there was any error in the movie, I wanted to know it. But fortunately, the movie actually held its weight, and we actually didn't find that there was many factual errors in the movie. There was a few translations of facts, but ultimately we stand by them. We have a website where we have updated facts, and we have a little section that says, if you find a factual error in our movie, let us know, or on our website, we'll change it. And we've received 0 emails to that address. And so I think that just speaks to the merit of the film. We had a lot of scientific backing on the movie. And to be honest, a lot of the criticism came from within the very industries which we were highlighting the error of. So a lot of those sort of dolphin safe labels, which we found to be fraud, they obviously had a reply that they were saying, well, they didn't want to, they didn't want to go along with actually what we had found out. And also from within the fishing industry itself, because they obviously have been going for a very long time without any criticism or truth being revealed, and we were showing that. So of course there was a reply from them.
Since the release of it, you've gone around the world speaking to thousands of people, huge audiences. What do you hope is the impact of speaking to groups?
I think for me, it's being able to have that one-on-one interaction, or at least with an audience, where you can actually interact with them on a human level as opposed to through the film. I really love that aspect about it, and that I can hopefully give not only just the facts of what we found out, or the facts about what's going on in the environment today, but also share those stories and personal anecdotes, and also inspire some personal change, because the solutions to this problem are actually really simple. It's a very complicated problem, but the solutions are really simple. And what's great about the call to action for us in this message is that it doesn't just relate to individuals, or it doesn't just relate to corporate, or it doesn't just relate to government. We have solutions for all 3 levels, and they are really tangible. So I think for me, the hope is that someone in the audience, or the corporation I'm speaking to, or the company, or whoever it is, can hopefully take on board something that I might have said and run with it and make it their own and see what happens.
And it's been 18 months since the release of Seaspiracy. You've obviously been very busy since then. What are your current projects, and what have you got planned next?
Yeah, so it's been a very busy 18 months. So first of all, I'm working on a separate documentary. It's a similar, in terms of scale, of a global importance. That's the next film I'm working on. It's sort of slightly more into the human rights sphere, but still brings in the environment. So that's in production. Seaspiracy is now registered as a charity, so it's Seaspiracy Foundation. So we've got ongoing efforts to bring awareness to this ocean issue, because the movie is kind of evergreen in the sense that these issues that we talk about are still ongoing today, and they probably will be, unfortunately, in 5 to 10 years. But we have created a large platform online where we can actually bring awareness to more up-to-date issues. So that's what I'm really passionate about doing, as well as potentially doing a Seaspiracy Part 2 in a number of years. But the most immediate thing on my radar right now is that we're moving to Australia. Myself and my co-director Lucy, my wife now, we're moving to Australia. and there is a lot to do down south, down under. We've got the Great Barrier Reef on our doorstep. It will be a lot of ocean-related issues, conservation issues, and I'd like to get our teeth, sunken right into those issues there and see what I can do on hopefully involving a younger audience as well, bringing the youth involved, youth projects potentially, and just seeing what kind of audiences that I could speak to down under in the Pacific Asia region that could maybe take an interest in some of these projects and also solutions and what I talk about.
I'm sure there'll be groups across the Asia Pacific region who'll be really excited to hear from you. So that's very exciting news, and thank you for sharing it. And thank you so much for coming in to see us today, Ali. We always ask our guests one final question, and that's if you're stuck in a lift with someone, who would it be and why?
I always struggle with these questions because about a million names jump into my mind, and I always wish I said another name. It all depends on if it's just a friendly chat, I would choose someone else or an inspiration. But in terms of bang for your buck for the 30 seconds of an elevator, I would love to be able to speak to the Secretary General of the United Nations. At the moment, that's Antonio Guterres. And I'd love to speak to him about all things relating to the environment and the oceans in particular, but also on the human rights front as well. I think there's a lot that could be done there. And there's a lot of crossover points when it comes to the ocean. And unfortunately, that a lot of this stuff can get lost. The details of what's really going on can be lost in diplomacy and the bureaucracy of it. And I'd love to bring something to the forefront of a conversation with, United Nations Secretary General. I'd love that.
Thank you for sharing that, Ali, and thank you so much for coming in to join us today.
Thank you.